Huma Tikinagan, Miss Debertamang, Mihima Iskunagan Ehtik, Kananantunamak. Mandogdan when Goman Koyak Chikanwen Makani Jan Snanak, Mina Jamaskawatoika the bench given nan, Mina get Skunagan Nanan. Ogamakana go give Nasawa Tikinagan, who had to do the minute. Abinojis, Mihawe Niganu it again matters Tamagoyak. We just nam, Hiwe Chuganawen Mausian. Nanda, Hima Chugabeshian, Chuganawen Mausian. Give again Tikinagan.org. Nanda Kanus, Basic, Nisaso, Wawi Bigan, Niwan, Nugudaso, Nianan, Nisan Nugudaso, Nishan, Niwan.
Whatche, bonjour. You are now listening to Kahkenuh Aweyuk, Everyone Together on TikTok Radio, hosted by Tikinagan Child and Family Services. We appreciate you tuning into our weekly program every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern on Wawate Radio. Tikinagan is a community-based child and well-being agency rooted in and accountable to the First Nation communities we serve. We are here because we want to protect our children, help our families, and nurture our communities. To learn more about Tikinagan, visit tikinagan.org.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Kahkenuh Aweyuk. I'm your host, Tommy Tikinagan. On today's episode, I'll be talking with Miranda Myers and her journey as a foster parent in Thunder Bay. Miranda has become a go-to foster parent for her children with higher needs than most, inspiring her to create resources to educate her community and for children to advocate for themselves. So without further ado, let's get started.
Hi, my name is Miranda Myers, and I'm a foster parent for Tikinagan. So I wrote this book called FASD and Me, Strengthening My Community, because I wanted to create awareness for my community and give an opportunity for my daughter to start to advocate for herself and regarding how FASD has affected her and how she can help our community learn more about FASD.
So for those who don't know, what is FASD?
Bottom line is mom drank during pregnancy, and it affected the child's brain. So I just wanted to create some more normalcy, because it can happen to anyone. You know, I know a lot of people that didn't know they were pregnant till 2-3 months, and that will affect the child.
I mean, you're absolutely right. It could happen to anyone. Now, can you tell me a little bit about your FASD learning experience? Did you take a course or...
Yeah, I took advantage of every opportunity to learn more. I wanted to be the best parent I could be for kids with FASD. You have to parent differently. I took the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder course that Norwest offers. I think I took it 2 or 3 times. I also started a support parenting group there with Maureen Parks. I participated in almost every workshop that I could, just to learn more so I could become a better parent for them.
Okay. What kind of care goes into raising children with FASD?
Routine is vital, and really nurturing the child's individuality, because it affects every child differently. And some kids need routine. Some kids need more safety things put in place. Teaching them social skills. That's very important, especially when they get into teenage years. And the communication, I think, was probably the biggest. It's an obstacle, but it's probably the biggest thing that I've been focusing on, because I want them to know themselves, to be able to know what they need and be able to reach out to people for help when they need it.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you find that raising children with FASD requires more time and resource commitment?
definitely you have to take them for their individual needs, and you have to be, everyone keeps telling me that you've got to be the most patient person I've ever met. I don't feel like it sometimes, but patience is a big thing, because when they're in a heightened state or they're confused or struggling, it's usually because they're not processing. But what I've learned over the years is give them space and allow them time to process, and eventually they'll come around. And it amazes me how they all naturally make the right decision. They just need the support throughout it. I think we as humans naturally try to control, but allowing them to kind of just naturally progress to make the decisions on their own and learn from it, it's vital, and it just takes a little bit more time sometimes.
You foster a lot of high-risk children. Is that something you encounter frequently?
It's almost like a natural progression. It just happened to be where things went with me. Two of the kids that we adopt, well, actually three now, do have FASD. We adopted 4 kids, 2 sibling groups. My second daughter and my second oldest daughter has FASD, and then my 2 younger adopted children both have FASD too. And then as we kind of grew, we noticed similarities and we started getting involved, and it ended up that we just kind of nurtured a lot of kids that came through our home that were FASD.
Would you say it's challenging?
A lot of kids don't. The reason I did it is because of the challenge. Kids they want to be fit in. They want to be like they're normal. And they felt shame because of having FASD. Nobody should feel shame. So I wanted to create a book that would allow our community to learn more and accept, but also at the same time, teach my kids to advocate for themselves. That was probably the biggest reason for it, is because I do think my kids need to advocate and not feel guilty for who they were created to be. You know, we all have challenges and obstacles, and I wanted them to be able to talk about it.
You know, I couldn't agree more. So with that being said, what does it mean to you to be recognized by your workers for the care that you're providing?
To be honest with you, I was really surprised. I was kind of humbled, but at the same time very thankful, because it's hard. You know, like fostering is hard and you do feel alone, and you know, getting the recognition really made me realize that I am doing the best I can, and it has been a positive experience for not only me but for the workers as well. So I'm very thankful for that. And then the more that I learn about what Tikinagan's about, the more I feel more secure in what I'm doing is right for these kids, because fostering is not easy, and you're dealing with a system that's in the process of changing right now too, right? But the philosophy is exactly what these kids need. You know, they need community, they need openness, they need the truth in front of them, they need acknowledgement, and they need community. It's the most important thing. We all need to feel like we're part of something where we have a voice.
Well said. Why is fostering important?
Fostering has grown into, how can I embrace helping everyone? That's including bio families, and how can we like permanency is the biggest thing for me when it comes now over the years that I've learned. It's so important. And so there's different levels of healing, and there's different levels of what needs to happen. And I'd like to go and help other families so that they have a better understanding, so that they can, because I remember it's like, oh my gosh, that's not me. It's the kids, it's the brains, it's not them. And then there's so many aha moments over the years. And then when I was writing the book, it just kind of all naturally kind of like just came together. And I was wanting to basically use it to help families so that it can strengthen and create a lot of awareness, and where there's not the shame and the blame stigma around why kids behave the way they do. And there's lots of things out there that can help, but the biggest thing was to get these kids to strengthen and learn to advocate for themselves. My daughter, Hope, actually just a couple of weeks ago, she said, "Mom, why do people treat us so differently? We're just like everyone else." And I told her, I said, that's a great question, and you're the one that has to go around and start talking about it. And it was really important for her to understand that she can say those things in a safe place and be able to talk like that openly with people.
How did you create that safe space? Was it intentional or did it come from growing together?
I think it's just a natural progression of how we kind of grew together. I'm learning, like my kids are teenagers right now, and there's a lot of behaviors behind teenagers and like just even neurotypical kids, but they can process things easily. Whereas kids with FASD, they feel different. They know that they're different and they don't want to feel like that. And that's when the behaviors come in. And so how can we change that going forward? I think it's just creating more awareness and creating more opportunities for these kids to say, I'm different and that's okay. Why don't you learn more about it so you can help me and I can help you? My daughter Hope, that I wrote the book around, probably has taught me more about, humanity and kindness than anyone. And her voice is very important and needs to be heard. But she's got to get to that point too, right? She's not there yet, but she's learning.
That's good to hear. How do you keep the children in your care connected to the culture?
We try. We really try. We took two of our kids we've taken our kids to their reserves and to powwows. It's important to me. Like I'm Dutch and my husband's Finn, and our culture is a huge part of us. And when you lose that, I couldn't imagine what it would be like to lose part of my culture. So I think it's really important that the kids learn about everything, and taking them to their communities, taking them to powwows is really important. It'll help them in the long run. They have to embrace their culture. We all should be.
Mm-hmm. What's it like working with Tikinagan?
Working for Tikinagan has been honestly very, very good. I'm very thankful for everything that Tikinagan has done for me over the last couple of years.
What's the best part about being a foster parent?
I would have to say what it has done for me and how I grew and how I got to see the world through different lenses. The kids have taught me more than I probably have taught them. I think that's probably the most rewarding thing that I've had to learn.
Now, what are the challenges of being a foster parent?
That's a hard question. I was thinking about that one, and I call them seasons. I think I've been through a lot of seasons because I've been doing this for 16 years. Like at the beginning, the trauma was very challenging, and then I learned a lot, went to a lot of training. Dealing with schools was challenging. At the moment, my kids are teenagers now, so dealing with openness, with biofamily and them learning more about that, and then where they fit in. The teenage years are their identity years, so it's helping them navigate through that. So I'd have to say that's probably the most challenging thing that right now that I've been dealing with.
We're going to start wrapping things up here, but what advice would you give to people looking to foster children with special needs? When
I first started fostering, I always thought it was about what I could do for the kids. Now, 16 years later, it's more, what can I do for the community? I'm just a small part of that child's life, and I need to help them have a community that's supporting them. That child needs to feel like they're part of something, and realizing that I'm just a small part of that child's life and that future, but a huge part at the same time. But it's more about what the child needs to survive and move into adulthood. So it's not about what I'm doing for the kids, it's what the needs of the kid is going forward, and advocating for that and knowing that child to make sure that that child can have a voice and feel like they're part of a community.
And lastly, what advice do you have for people looking to become foster parents?
I think it's not easy. It's not for everyone. I think you have to do a lot of self-assessing before you can actually become a foster parent. I would probably suggest to talk to other foster families and learn more about some of the struggles, the pros and the cons of fostering. If you are a person who likes to help people, has a passion for kids, has a passion for learning and understanding trauma and disabilities and stuff like that, I would highly recommend to learn more and take an opportunity to educate yourself before you make that big step. It's not about being able to naturally do it, it's more about understanding.
Now that concludes our interview with Miranda. As always, stay safe and take care.
Thank you for listening to Kahkenuh Aweyuk, Everyone Together on TikTok Radio, hosted by Tikinagan Child and Family Services. Mikach.